What's poppin', y'all? These Drake colonizer lines are just aging gracefully, and he's definitely not getting close to beating the allegations. When an unsuspecting bystander in this entire beef, as close to a bystander as you could possibly be, Schoolboy Q. Sure, Schoolboy Q was on TDE. He's been boys with Kendrick Lamar for well over a decade. He appeared in the Not Like Us music video, but he's not somebody that came at Drake in any type of way. He never dissed Drake. He never had no problems with Drake. Any problems with Drake. And he tweeted this last night. He was on his Blue Lips tour in the follow-up to his most recent album drop a couple months ago. And he said, they just canceled my show in Toronto. Canadian police don't want nobody from TDE performing. Top, and he's talking about Top Dog, not, some people might think he's talking about Youngboy. Top Dog from TDE. Was just with Wayne and Baby, SMH. Party Next Door just had a show at the Palladium. He's talking about Los Angeles venues. If we wanted to get y'all, we would have just did it. Now, when somebody get hurt, don't cry. Actually, I get it. Never mind. This stuff low-key hilarious. I don't know why Dot put me in that effing video. So I always love how Schoolboy Q's able to take things in jest, make fun and light of the situation. And someone posted a picture of him, and he said, canceled is all I could think about. And then Academics replies with an odd message saying, sending prayers for peace and healing. Battle was good. Time to move on. I think Drake is the one that needs to hear this. This guy's just trying to perform on tour for his own fans, and the Canadian police are screwing him over. And his fans are getting screwed over. So you can't point this at Schoolboy Q, TDE, or Kendrick Lamar in any capacity at all. If you care about the fans, if you care about the artist, this is Canadian police thing, and most likely a Drake/OVO thing. Why else would they cancel it? It's not like Schoolboy Q, somebody that's preaching violence, that they can say, oh, and this is the thing, if Schoolboy Q was preaching violence, they would have never even let him into Canada. It's pretty strict to get in there. And then Schoolboy Q replies and says, I never said I'm gonna kill somebody. I'm saying if we wanted to crack it off, we could have. Rap and move on, playing tough, gonna get somebody hurt. It's all good. I'm a soccer dad. And he spin, man. Like, Schoolboy Q handled this perfectly. And one thing, though, that we need to make note of before people say, hey, Schoolboy Q deserves this, or whatever the case may be. If you guys recall, a couple of months ago, before this beef started, when J. Cole dropped 7 Minute Drill and was going at Kendrick Lamar, he dropped 7 Minute Drill, and then he apologizes at Dreamville Fest. And we were all perplexed, in a daze, just looking around. What the hell is going on with this guy? Well, there was a rumor that someone that was there put out, a writer, and we don't know if it's objective fact yet, but it does give a decent explanation. I don't want to put it out there like this is 100% certain. However, it was said that J. Cole was pulled to the side by Schoolboy Q before performing, because he didn't perform 7 Minute Drill at the Dreamville Fest, and told him a couple of things and then let him go on. And the quote was, I'm not specifying what kind of warning, whether it was a bullying move, a Debo-like maneuver, or just a friendly heads up. I don't think it matters at this point. But based on what Punch, TDE president, said, I think they gave him what he needed to hear to bow out of the battle with as much grace as possible. So the thoughts are that Schoolboy Q, who's been cool with J. Cole as well, their camps have always been cordial between each other, and Schoolboy Q is set to perform at that festival as well. The thoughts were that Schoolboy Q told him, hey man, this is going to get really ugly. You're just rapping to rap, but this guy Kendrick Lamar genuinely hates Drake, and he's going to come at him with everything that he has. And are you sure you don't want to get looped into that and face not dire consequences, but get into a mess where you're going to have to sling some stuff you don't want to, and that's out of your character. And J. Cole probably thought, yeah, you know what? I'm going to bow out. Did he have to bow out the way that he did? I think he could have just left 7 Minute Drill up, not performed it, and not done the embarrassing ritual that he did. And I say ritual in jest. I don't mean an actual ritual, but yeah, the embarrassing performance that he had, saying, oh man, let's give it up for Kendrick Lamar. You didn't have to do all that. You could have just said, man, I've been upset with what I've been up to the past couple of days. It's not me, and I don't want to continue to escalate it. That would have been enough of a move. We still would have came at him, but not as hard as we ended up going. So perhaps Drake is still upset at Schoolboy Q for having pulled J. Cole out of the beef, because I think the beef would have been a little bit more favorable in the eyes of fans if J. Cole was still going at Kendrick and he was somewhat on Drake's side. They would have just put them together and they would have been going at Kendrick Lamar. I think that would have turned things around. Do I think it would have been enough for them to quote unquote win? Absolutely not. I think Kendrick would have watched both of them. With that being said, though, I think it would have taken some of the punch out of, no pun intended, out of lines like, oh, colonizer, you go to Atlanta, things like that. When you've got someone that's an American that grew up in Fayetteville, North Carolina, that's riding with Drake, not necessarily, yeah, they had first-person shooter together, and the theory, academics was theorizing this, there's no proof of this, and he even said that nobody told him this was anywhere remotely true. He was just conjuring it up out of his own opinion. But he was saying he thinks that Drake somehow sent J. Cole to drop his record first to come at Kendrick. And I disagreed with this because J. Cole is just his own man, his own artist. I don't see Drake being able to push him to get out of character and drop a song first. I don't think he's going to be manipulated like that. It doesn't make sense to me. Now, some people will say, well, he was manipulated by Schoolboy Q to do so-and-so. That's different. That's a long-time relationship, and they're not manipulating. They're just saying, hey, man, this is where things are going to go. We're giving you a heads up. And then he made the decision on his own. It's not like Drake said, hey, there's a heads up. I'm going to come at Kendrick Lamar, or Kendrick Lamar is going to come at us. You need to drop a track. That's completely different. So there's that situation. I do think it's really, really whack and lame that they're doing this because they're robbing their own city from enjoying music that they like. Imagine you're in Toronto, right? Probably like Drake music. There's probably a bunch of people in Toronto that don't like Drake music. But an artist is coming to your city, Schoolboy Q, who you haven't seen. Maybe you haven't seen him ever, but you haven't seen the guy tour in 5+ years. When was the last time he dropped an album? Was Crash Talk the last album? I believe so. Nah, Crash Talk was way too long ago. Yeah, it was actually Crash Talk. And I don't even know if he went on tour for Crash Talk because that was in 2019. 2020 was, everything shut down. You're definitely not going in and out of Canada at that point. So I don't know if he went on tour for that, but let's say you're about to see him. You've been a fan for a long time. And now because Drake doesn't like the guy, and we're alleging this is Drake, but let's be honest. Why else would Canadian police not allow this to happen? It has to be some sort of connection because they would have gave a legitimate, not answer, but an actual reason for shutting this down. And this just goes to show Drake is a sore loser if he's behind this. Guy already lost the beef. Keep it pushing. It's not like Schoolboy Q was about to be in there playing Not Like Us. I really doubt he would have done that. He would have just done his set, or his set list. It's not the guy's, it's his concert. He would have done his set list and kept it pushing. And he even said Top was with Wayne. Top was with Schoolboy Q. So these guys are allowing people around, they're being more reasonable. And if this is behavior that is in any way indicative of how Drake was moving within the industry these past 8 to 10 years, then is it any wonder why nobody was coming to his side, or any wonder why people aren't really too fond of him behind the scenes? Because if you're willing to do this and harm a bunch of different bystanders, not with pain, but like I said, you're not letting fans see the artist they want to see. You're not letting the people that work to put on this show see the show out in Canada. And you're not allowing the artist Schoolboy Q that never dissed you or said anything bad about you to perform in the city as well. So all these different people, you're willing to let them take an L on the situation just so you feel good about yourself. And that's something public that we're seeing right now. Imagine what he was doing behind the scenes. So people are probably looking at it like, yo, this character of this individual is not something we like, which is saying a lot because usually rappers are not of the greatest upstanding character, usually more selfish and narcissistic than most, as overused as the latter word is nowadays. But yeah, it's just not looking good, man. And I don't see how a Drake stan can defend this. You can't say this is cool. Yeah, man, Drake blocked them for performing when in LA they were letting his people perform when they for sure could have made sure these shows didn't happen, but they didn't. You just can't defend something like that, even if you like the guy and his music. Like I said, I really enjoy Drake music, but there are certain things that's moving right now that I cannot co-sign. This is, it's whack. Also, there is a possibility that perhaps the Canadian police is just so scary that they don't want anything erupting. Maybe like the Rick Ross situation that happened. Perhaps Rick Ross screwed it up for these other guys in Canada, where they're saying, hey, we don't want any physical altercations, so we're going to shut this down altogether. Maybe they're that sensitive and Drake had nothing to do with this, or OVO had nothing to do with this. I want to throw that option out there, although I don't think that's the case, but I can't outright put it on them when there is this alternate possibility, but we'll never really know the truth for sure, at least for now. But let me know what you guys think in the comments. Like and subscribe and hit the notification bell if you enjoyed. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram. Thank you for watching. Peace.